Are you ready to get your health back but feel overwhelmed by the endless healthcare options? We believe God has called each of us to a specific assignment, and we want to make sure your body, mind, and heart are up for the task. It's time to simplify the process of healing. At Cornerstone Integrative Healing, we offer simple, effective, easy ways to prioritize your health and gain understanding. No prescription pad needed. I'm Kari, a pharmacist turned integrative health practitioner. I'm so excited to have these conversations around topics with my friend, Jenn.
Hi there, I'm Jenn, and together with our team at Cornerstone Integrative Healing, we offer an alternative to traditional healthcare, combining our expertise and experience in the medical field with our knowledge and faith to break the cycles of guessing what's wrong. We know the road to healing, feeling good again, can be overwhelming. You can expect honest conversations around the ups and downs of healing. The truth is, there are so many layers to healing. Because we've taken the time to learn where true healing comes from, we've learned how to help other women discover a different way of caring for themselves. Join us every week for new episodes as we discuss topics that are personal and pertinent to your healing journey. Hey, everybody, it's Jenn, and I'm here with my co-host, my Southern Belle, Kari, and we are continuing our series on some of the tools that we use in our nutrition practice. We really wanted to dig deep and kind of for you guys to get to know how we work with patients, some of the tools that we use for testing, some of the modalities that we use to help the body really repair and rebuild. And so this episode, we're talking about muscle testing. So for a lot of you, you might not be familiar with testing. You might have heard the concept of applied kinesiology. That was sort of the original muscle testing technique developed by Dr. George Goodhart. And it was a really insightful discovery because basically he noticed that the heart would respond to nutrition really quickly. Anything you put in the mouth and you start to chew, using what's called an echo. It's actually a heart sound recorder. It's a little bit different, but basically he basically saw that the heart was a muscle and that it would respond to nutrition really quickly. And he's like, well, if the heart is a muscle and can respond that quickly to nutrition, any other muscle can respond to nutrition really quickly. And so muscle testing was born. So, using basically a muscle in the body, usually an arm, you can use a leg, anything, it helps the body to have a communication with the subconscious mind. So we want to stress that we use this alongside objective tests. So we do use hair tissue mineral analysis. We also use blood work as a way to prioritize what the body needs. But we really use muscle testing to see what, one specific body is asking for and is prioritizing at that moment. And we do that by basically having a conversation with the subconscious mind. So Kari, do you want to get a little bit into subconscious versus conscious mind?
Yeah, sure. And I just want to open up this conversation acknowledging the fact that we don't know what your experience previously has been with muscle testing, if you have had an experience with that, if you have heard somebody talking about it, and in the way they were talking about it, you were very turned off. I want to acknowledge that is likely. I don't know, right? I mean, there's so many previous experiences that kind of shape how we think about different things. And this is no different than that. But I just want to encourage you to have an open mind as you're listening to this episode, because I think it's so important that even though we might have had a negative or positive, really, experience with something in the past, I think it's good to have an open mind when someone is saying, like, the Lord led us to do this, to incorporate this as something that we use with clients. And we don't take that lightly. And we definitely use muscle testing alongside the Holy Spirit to really lead and guide us in what this specific client that He's brought to us needs at this moment. And it's something really for me that I didn't know a lot about before Jen and I started working together. I knew what it was in a general sense, and I didn't necessarily, have a super negative experience or anything like that. I just didn't know a lot about it. Um, but she's definitely taught me a lot. And I actually did go to a conference it was earlier this year in 2024, that helped me to understand a lot more about how it works and things like that. And so I just think that sometimes we have these preconceived notions. And so I'm just asking you to have an open mind about it. But as Jen said, I do want to talk more about how muscle testing kind of taps into the subconscious mind and what that really means. So, obviously, we have a subconscious and a conscious mind. And the conscious mind is where we spend all of our waking hours and how we make decisions and where we receive and analyze thoughts and ideas, those types of things. And in the whole grand scheme of like our mind, the conscious mind is the very, very tip of that iceberg. And so the bulk of your mind is actually subconscious, meaning that it's not like that's where you're making decisions from and operating in your day to day. And so most people don't really give it much recognition, even though it's actually very active. So it's always storing and remembering everything, even down to a cellular level. And I think that's something that I had actually never thought of like that, right? I mean, it's like I'm a pharmacist, I'm very logical, I'm very analytical. So this is not something that I'd really ever thought a lot about, right? I mean, it's like for me, it was all about facts and numbers and what labs said and what symptoms were showing up and all of that. And I never really considered how it's sort of the same thing with emotions, right? It's like all of these things affect us at a cellular level. And so this really affects how the body runs and, and the organ function and the cellular function, it all goes together. And so the subconscious mind is actually aware of any imbalances in your body and actually has the answers to those problems or the things that we experience.
That's key.
Yeah, it is. And so in other words, every person has the answer to his or her own issues. And while that might seem kind of like, huh? If you really look more into the subconscious and the conscious mind, it totally makes sense, right? If these things affect us down to a cellular level, then of course the body's going to know how to fix that.
Right. And so we just have to remember that there's lots of things that are at play. And most of us don't think about the subconscious on a daily basis because it's operating without us knowing. That's how we're breathing. That's how our heart beats. It's happening without us thinking about it. And so what we have to realize is that a lot of the function of our body is happening based on the subconscious mind. So in order to be able to heal the body, right, we have to be able to ask the body how it wants to heal. And the body heals in a very specific manner. In homeopathic principles, it'll tell you the body heals top to bottom, left to right, inside to out, top to bottom. So what the body does is it heals in layers. And this has proven, to be true every time. Like we have to, and a lot of people use this analogy, peel the onion, if you will. Mm-hmm. But the body will only heal what it wants to heal when it wants to heal that. And it's a very precise way. And we have to honor that. And so that's what we're doing with the muscle testing is basically tapping into that innate intelligence, right? That God has given us and asking that innate intelligence, what is the best way for this body to heal? And through the nervous system, through muscle strength, weakness, and strength, the body is able to tell us, yes, this is a way forward, or no, the body can't handle this right now. So along with the other modalities that we do use, it really gives us the best picture of the path forward to healing and really helps us determine too what organs we need to prioritize first. Because we might see something on lab work and think, oh yes, we need to do this first. But the body's like, nope, you need to address this first. And so it's really important too with the emotion organ connection. Sometimes it won't even be physical. It'll be an emotional disturbance within the organ, that needs to be addressed before anything physical can take place. And so, God talks about, his spirit is within us. The Holy Spirit is within us, constantly guiding us. It prays on our behalf. And the way that I view it is that we are tapping into the Holy Spirit. We are using the Holy Spirit to guide us on a healing path for each person. And that's powerful because that is the most, that's the top priority, is the God intelligence within us all. And so, I think all of us have gifts. And for me personally, God has really shown me that, prophecy is something, that he has gifted with me. And I think sometimes I feel like the Holy Spirit just shows me a pathway for a lot of these clients, that it's not my own knowledge, right? It's just something that the Holy Spirit really makes light, and brings out into the open for me. And I really pray about that and I focus on that because I know it's a gift and I know that it's God leading me. And I feel the same way about Kari. Kari talked about some of the gifts that we've been giving, and we've been really called to this work. And God equips us for this work. And so this is just one of the things I think that, because of my training where God has put me the previous, 20 years, and with Kari's training has really allowed us to understand this work a little bit deeper and allow God to be a part of it.
Yeah, completely. And I'll just be upfront, like this is exactly what I didn't know I was missing. And whenever he brought Jenn into my life and just was like, okay, this is the person you need to partner with, it just makes so much sense. Even though, obviously we're supposed to walk by faith, that it doesn't always have to make sense, right? This to me does make a lot of sense. Because we have different gifts and sometimes they're almost just opposite gifts, but obviously that's how he uses his workers, right? to work together for a common good. And I know I'm just really thankful that he did give Jenn this gift, and I've seen it work. Like there's just no denying that this is part of the way he wants us to work with clients. And so I also think that for me, he's really asked me to not have to understand every bit nook and cranny about how things work. He just wants me to trust him that this is part of the way that he's providing and the way that he wants things to work together. And I don't need to understand everything for it to actually be true, right? I mean, I think that some of us, we just like to understand. We just want to know every little thing about everything. And that's probably a lot of the people maybe in the medical system, right? Our brains are just, and as a pharmacist, right, I'm just like a more analytical and logical. And I've really had to, and been challenged to, just really trust and not need to understand all of the ins and outs, and it's really been freeing, to be honest. But it's a journey, right? But I just wanted to share that with you because I get some of us are more, our minds kind of work like that. And so I've just really, I really leaned into God. I don't need to know all of the answers. I just need to know that this is the path that you've put us on, and I'm thankful for it because I've seen him work through it in really big ways, and I'm excited to see what he continues to do with the people that he connects us with. So we're thankful to share.
Remember, God doesn't work in formulas.
Yeah, he keeps on telling me that. Like I need to keep hearing that, right? I'm always looking for a formula or like how can I understand this better or whatnot. So yeah, God doesn't work in formulas. So maybe you need to hear that.
Sometimes in that knowledge, we all think, like schooling, you're a pharmacist and, that analytical knowledge, that's just not where God works most.
I know. Yeah, no, I completely agree. So I think that it was just a really big invitation for me to kind of not necessarily discount that knowledge at all, just to lay it down and not the need to understand, just to trust him. And sometimes that's that's what he's really honestly asking us all to do in different ways. But for me, this was one of those that he's really, I've seen him work, and I do have a piece about things and where he's, how he's working and where he's leading. And so we're thankful to share this conversation with you because I think it's an important one. It's maybe something that is new to you, or perhaps something that you knew about before, but maybe now you see it in a different way. So we realized that, there'll probably be questions. So you can definitely always reach out to us. We want to be transparent. We want to really have those conversations with you. So Instagram, email, however you want to communicate with us is great, but we would love to hear from you. And if you have any questions or comments, thanks for joining us. We'll see you on the next episode.
If this episode has served you in any way, drop a review wherever you listen to podcasts. We'd love it if you'd share any aha moments or takeaways on Instagram and tag us at Cornerstone Integrative Healing.
And if you haven't already hit the subscribe button, please do so. We want to continue to walk this journey with you. Until next time, friends, know that we're praying for you.